Are we live now?
Hello. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
are we live now?
Yes, sir.
So should we start it?
Okay, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, so thank you all. Thank you very much for joining me in this Saturday. Uh, I hope my screen is visible. Yes, Kunal? Is my screen visible still?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, you can go on mute now. So there will be not much background noise. Okay, so uh, so we have seen last week the definition of Git, right? So application, we have built our understanding about what is an application really means. Why this was required? Is required that any DevOps tool or any rather any tool that you interact with is nothing but an application. So the reason we started learning this way is because in specifically in DevOps and automation world, you are going to deal with multiple applications, not just one. So there are multiple tools, and every tool has certain kind of responsibility in that particular process, right? So, for example, version control or distributed version control is a process, and Git is an application or tool for that. Similarly, CI/CD is a process or concept, and then we have Jenkins, GitHub Actions, uh, Circle CI, Travis CI, even Azure DevOps pipeline. There are a lot many tools, right? Just to work on those concepts or process. If we go on infrastructure as a code side, then we have Cloud Formation, we have Terraform, Pulumi. So these kind of again application. If we go on the world of configuration management, then we have Ansible. Yes, so they are nothing but the tools. So it's very important if we learn which is applicable across all tools and application, that would be very easy to understand and start in this journey. Okay, so this was the sole reason to break the Git in as a part of application and distributed version control. So even tomorrow, if we are going to talk about Terraform or Ansible or any command line that you're working on, it may be AWS, maybe Azure, Google. So all those clouds also have their command line interfaces, right? And those command line interfaces are nothing but exactly an application. So that's the reason if we talk on the application part, we are very super clear what an application means, right? That part is already covered. If by chance you have missed that, there is a recording available on YouTube channel. Please feel free to watch that video or tutorial before coming to this session. Okay. Now we are going to focus on Git as a distributed version control, right? So what actually mean by distributed version control? So for that, we need to look into this diagram. Now, this diagram is super important in terms of Git understanding of Git. Yes. So normally, mostly we either respective your developers or respective if you're from DevOps professional or automation background, where automation testing, right? Uh, System administrator, where you generally manage infrastructure as a code and all, right? Irrespective of what your role is, most likely in industry, what I've seen is that people are very much familiar with very surface level commands of Git. Yes, that way we can certainly manage our work, automate our work. But when you land in troubles or land in challenges, in such case, specifically understanding is what equally important. So when you are learning, I generally call out four stages of learning. First one is a crawling, where you know what is a tool, what are different kinds of commands it offer, right? Then I would say standing. So crawling is just very much high level. What is Git? Standing is just trying, basically playing with, interacting with some basic commands. Then is I would say Walking, so crawling, standing, walking is basically you know creating your own repos, pushing your code into the repositories and all. And last one is running. In running, we need to understand the why behind topic. So most of us are here are going to be either start their own freelancing journey, or they will be working as a remote. Can be joining any company in their career. But most likely, what this title or position you are going to get is either a software engineer, maybe full stack engineer, DevOps engineer, machine learning engineer. What important is the word is engineer. And when we talk about engineering is basically finding out multiple solutions and basically picking up the best fit for that scenario or that requirement, right? We have seen Burj Khalifa, Eiffel Tower. Such kind of structures need a massive engineering thought process, right? So why not we can have such kind of thought process in our craft? That's where we are going to working, right? So in talking about Git as a distributed version control, we need to understand how Git is basically layered. So lot of you, by looking at this diagram, can see this diagram is very much familiar for you in terms of OS, right? So OS also have similar diagram. So here, if you see, if you map this diagram, let's map this diagram with the OS. So this can be your kernel, right, or OS itself, right? I'm not going at hardware level right now, so let's call this as kernel or OS, kind of similar things. Yes. Then this guy becomes your shell. Yes, this guy becomes your shell. After that, this layer, this layer becomes your utilities, command line utilities or system utilities we call, right? What are the various utilities, if I can say? It will be cat, concatenate, then ls, yes, mkdir, these cd, these are nothing but the system level utilities, right? And on top of those utilities, we have applications. So right now, this is an image viewer application I'm seeing, showing this. Then I'm also presenting in the PowerPoint, right? It is an also application. Sorry. And then we are also having this on YouTube live. So you are watching this from browser. So these are nothing but at this layer. So this is at high level how OS depicts, right? So uh, how it would be a great idea, or would it be a great idea if we can certainly try to understand Git in terms of same layers? So generally we call this as onion diagram. uh, there is onion architecture as well, right? So this is called as onion diagram. Why onion diagram? So let's now look at this from the perspective of onion. So onion is nothing but have multiple layers, right? And there is one single layer, basically uh, this part, right? This part is specifically the onion layer, which cannot be further peeled, right? It is in concrete, it complete, right? We cannot break it down in further. So let's treat Git as an onion, and then we will basically try to reach out the kernel of Git, or try to reach out the core of Git. Okay. So how we can reach here? So for that, first we need to make few assumptions, right? We need to peel these layers, but this layer is just peeling these layers will not help us, right? So we need to understand what different layer at high level, and then we'll reach at this layer. Okay. So from what I would say, from distributed point of view, what we actually mean by distributed is nothing but the cluster community, right? So community of version controls, right? So when you say distributed version control, that means you are not the one who is making decision, right? There are a lot many other people as a community, they are making decision. Yes. So if I need to peel off this layer of onion, that is version control, distributed version control layer of onion, we need to assume something. So what I can be assumed here, assumption is that basically there would be only one machine in the world, and it is my machine. Is that assumption is difficult? No. If you disconnect your machine from the internet, you are not connected to anything, right? So that way we can take out the distributed part of our layer, right? So in this world there is only one machine, and that machine is nothing but my machine. So this is very easy to peel off this part. Then we reach out to this layer, which is version control layer. Okay. So versioning is very common term. It's not new. How come it is very common term? Right from your birth or when you're born, right? You have you have become very better version of it, right? Of yourself, I would say. So, for example, you when you born, you can't able to crawl or stand. So you have learned this how to crawl, how to stand, walk. You have get enough help from your parents, friends, right? Then you go to school, your understanding becomes wider, right? You get much knowledge. You go to colleges. Yes, you become an engineer, so you get more mature, more responsible person. So I can, it is very easy to say that I am today is much better version of myself than I was a decade back or decade and a half back. Yes. So it's very common. So being version every day, which we basically whatever new we are learning is nothing but having a better version of yourself. Sometimes it be better, sometimes it would be not better, but that's what version is, right? What we don't have in the real world is actually the control on it. So what actually mean by control? So for example, if I have regret of not doing my engineering the way I should, or the I would say I haven't read many books, right? Might have bunk lectures. So if I have that regret, right, there is no way I can go back and fix those things, right? Even if I didn't perform well in 10th or 12th, but there is no way that I can go back and fix it now, right? So whatever is in my hand is to focus on current state and see how I can do better for my future, right? So in real life, whatever past is happen, you cannot change it, you cannot erase it, right? Unless we are going to invent time machine or something like that. But in software life or in virtual life, we have that control. So what control means? That I can go back and modify and fix the things or change the things so that it would be a better outcome today. Okay. So how we can do that? Very easy, right? Most of you have worked on some projects. We have identified some bugs in your application. You go and fix those bugs, right? Those you have done a long back. So what it means is that if you have a control, means there is someone who is tracking every change that you are making that you are made up in a system. Yes, or you are making a system. So any change that you are doing, whether in the code, computer, or file, right, that change is getting tracked of it. That means you if imagine like this, if someone is not tracking that, there is no way you can go to earlier state, right? So that means someone is tracking every step, every change that you are doing. So when you have a control, that means you there is someone who is tracking your stage. So this is where we land into the content tracker layer. Now, why content tracking is very easy, right? There is not much to rocket science in tracking or understanding this word specifically. Everybody is having right now a smartwatch. We said walk 10,000 steps. We also monitor our SpO2. We monitor our pulse, heartbeats. Yes. So tracking is very easy. What is this content? Why content? Yes. So this is irrespective of a Git, right? There are a lot of version controls in the market. Generally, or mostly, we use for for our source code basis, or we use for YAML files if you are from DevOps background, or your Python files if you are having any Jupyter notebooks, or any customization in your Ansible stuff, right? But this version control is not constrained to that. They are not restricted that you only track the source control. So basically, you can track images, you can track audio files, you can track movies, you can have text files, PDF, right? So when you have no such restriction, in that case, we called such thing as content, where you are not putting any restrictions that okay, I would only going to manage source codes. Apart from that, I'm not going to track anything. So such restriction is not there. That's the reason it's a content tracker. Okay. And the final layer, as someone is tracking every change, every content, that means someone is storing that content for us. So this is the layer which is actually talk about the persistence. So what is persistence? Lot of you are already familiar with programming, I assume. So if not, uh, even if you create any file, right? For example, India is my country. Let's say page file. If you saving that file, that means you are persisting that file, right? Databases, nothing but a persistence, right? If you fill the form, let's say sign up form in Google, when you submit it, it is somewhere that information is stored, basically in a database, right? Again, it is a persistence. Yes. Those who are familiar with programming language such as Java, Python, .NET, or any programming language, we generally call this concept as serialization. Those who are from programming background, they know this concept as serialization. Sorry for my handwriting, but serialization is a concept where you actually store the state of an object or entity. Yes, so that is serialization. So the way I should start understanding Git from core, that will help me in making a rational and informed decision. Remember, we are going to get hired as an engineer. Doesn't matter whether it will be a software engineer or DevOps engineer or cloud engineer, AI ML engineer. Ultimately we are going to hire as an engineer, and for an engineer, your fundamental concepts, your foundations should be strong enough so that whatever code or whatever piece of work that you are actually doing in the company, you should be able to give justice to it. You should have some kind of rational to it, rather than calling it just works, right? So we are here basically to understand Git, right? So to understand Git, my journey should be start with persistence. Yes. Are we clear so far here? Are there any questions? Any questions so far? Let's take one small pause, and we'll see how many of you are understanding this. Any questions so far? Yes. I can see a lot of people joining. Aditya, Prince, Udit, Mayank. Happy to take a few questions before we go in the practical side. Yes. We'll take 2 minutes. We'll see your comments. Is this space looks good? Please feel free to ask questions, guys. Okay. Session should be, since we are on YouTube, the interactivity is not possible, but at least from your comments, I would get whether you are getting the things or not. Okay. Great. So, if there are no questions, maybe we can again go back and we'll share the screen. I hope all of you are getting this. So let's do and explore the persistence layer of Git. Okay, so I hope my screen is visible. So I have started Git Bash, from where you can install Git. So to install Git, you can go to Git SCM download. You put this in browser. So there is this link called git-scm.com/downloads. Click on this link, and then by default, with this browser have identified that I am on Windows. But if in case it is fails to identify which operating system that you belong to, here is the option. If you are from Mac, you can download Mac binary. If you are on Windows, this is by default it has opened, and then you have Linux or Unix based operating system. So there is a different binary for it. Okay, so this is the website that you can go ahead and download the Git. I assume based those who are present in the last session, they have done that. If not, this is the website you can download. Let me put this into the YouTube comments so that you will have this link handy. Okay, so let's get to the Git side now. Okay, so let me do mkdir. Let's go with today's date, git underscore 26 underscore 04. Okay, and then we will go to the directory cd git underscore 26 underscore 04. Okay, now what is our main goal for today is that understanding the core layer of Git, which is nothing but, yes, let me show you this layer. Yes, the persistence layer. So understanding persistence layer of Git, basically to understand how Git is actually storing your contents. Okay, so let's go and see how Git is storing your contents. Uh, okay, so now I'm going to type the command called git hash object, and I will also paste this command in the chat box. I'm not sure if you guys are able to listen to me because I'm unable to actually put this into the okay. I can see that now I'm able to post the command. So this is for you. Those who are doing live with me, the the output of this command should be blank, and I will explain a bit about this command. So normally when you work with the Git, you work with Git is so there are two types of commands in Git. So you generally work with Git is from the porcelain commands. So porcelain, I'm not sure exactly the spelling, but I hope it is the same. Porcelain command, and the other is type of command is the plumbing commands. So Mohit, what are these two different types of command? Why do we need it? Okay, so let's understand the first these two types of command, plumbing and porcelain, right? So there is a bit of shitty terminology for this because if you search for this porcelain word, the porcelain is a commode. Okay, so normal user we everyday use commode for washroom or commode, right? But if there are any challenges, if there is a leakage or if flush is not working, right? So basically, we would going to call plumber to fix it. And plumber is a person who knows the end-to-end plumbing, what is the problem with porcelain, so that it can rectify the issue that we are facing, right? So porcelain commands is a normal command that we normally fire in our day-to-day working with Git, but plumbing commands is the actual commands who are going to help you how these porcelain commands work, right? Remember, we are we are having this discussion in the aspect of engineering. Yes, so as an engineer, I am I should be a curious. to when I look at the things, I should be very curious how those things works internally. Okay, so git hash object is a kind of plumbing command. Why do we need it? Because I am very much interested in understanding how git is storing the things. Okay, so let's do one thing. Normally we sorry normally we basically ask or interact with git. We interact in terms of I would say large files. We check in folders, repositories, or large code base. But today we'll start with a basic hello world. So if you are cooking rice, right, and it's very very easy test whether rice is properly cooked or not, or thoroughly cooked or not. So by actually pressing or checking with a single grain of rice. So that way, before I'm handing over the entire rice bowl or entire repository or entire folder or some file, I would like to understand, hey Git, if you can store my hello world in the repository, then only I'm going to pass you the entire code base. Okay, so let's see how to test, or let's see how Git can store a single grain of rice before we offer him entire biryani or rice bowl. So git hash object, and then I would say hello world. Okay, that's where we actually begin our software journey, our programming journey. So let's have our beginning with the same in Git as well. Git hash object hello world. Now I already knew that I'm going to face an issue with the uh, showing this command. Okay, and with this git hash object command, and the reason of this error is, let's first understand what this error is all about, and then we'll have a proper reasoning about it. So git hash object is expecting that you should pass some file or directory, but since we are passing a plain simple string, that's the reason it is complaining us. Now you can ask that, Mohit, why not you create a file, something like greeting.txt, and send hello world in it? That would be also a great option. But I would like to cover some basic principle here from the standpoint of or perspective of operating system. So I am not going to create a new file of hello world. Rather, I am still insist Git that to store my hello world as is. So how we can do that? So uh, I would need a bit of Linux familiarity. Those who are having this session live. So there is a command called echo. So echo is in itself a describing command or program. When I say echo, right? Basically, whatever I'm going to say, that is going to come me back, right? That's what echo is. I echo your opinion, right? So that means I'm very much agree with you, and I am also have same perspective. So that is what echo does. So if, for example, if I does echo hello world, that means I would get back the same string. Yes. So now what I would do, I would do write same command and then pipe it to git hash object. So those who are not familiar with the pipe, uh, this pipe operator, this is a pipe operator in Linux shell scripting. What it does, so it's not too hard if you are not from technological background. Let's understand pipe in layman terms, right? So a lot of you have already watered the plants, yes, using pipe. So you have a big pipe, right? And the one end of pipe is connected to the tap, and then other is in your pot, right? Water, it can be a bucket, it can be a plant, doesn't matter, right? So basically pipe has two ends. From one end you are having this water, and other end you have plant or someone who is receiving that water. It can be a pot, it can be a bucket, doesn't matter, right? Similarly, if I have to use same analogy in Linux programming or shell scripting, this is a tap, and this command is, oh sorry, this command, entire command is tap, and this entire command is either a plant, tree, or bucket, whatever you call it, right? So this is how it goes. So this command, we have already checked this command, right? So output of this command is hello world. This output is going to pass as an input to the next command. That's what pipe does. Okay. If I enter this, I will still get blank, but at least I can see there is no error. But what it means, ideally, what happened is that uh, pipe has worked. I mean, this is actually got as an input to this guy. It also reaches here, but this guy doesn't know how to read that input, and that's the reason we need to tell Git, hey Git, normally you expect hash object with some kind of file, but I'm sending you file in terms of as a command line argument or from standard input. So what is standard input? So terminal is standard input. Okay. So what I need to do is I need to type echo hello world git hash object hyphen hyphen std in. So by this way, now I can get some kind of output, a bit of weird, but still I get some kind of output from Git. Okay. Uh, Now I'm in a state where, okay, I have sent hello world to Git, and Git has given me some kind of weird characters of key. But where is my hello world? Where it is? Yes, that is our quest or a journey to go through Git. Okay, so let's understand what this a weird set of characters means. So basically, this is nothing but the hash value of your hello world object, this object. So this is the hashed value of this, right? So how many character I can see? So these are nothing but 40 characters, 40 characters. But these are not normal characters. Yes. So Mohit, what do you mean by normal characters? So in uh, specifically in programming or even in our daily life, we have deal with numbers, right? So when you deal with numbers, you have to dealing with that numbers, we have number system, right? So humans work with decimal number system, right? And computers work with binary number system, right? And these, so there are decimal, binary, and this is the hashing is done, specifically this hashing is done using hexadecimal. So normally what is hexadecimal number system? There are a lot of other tutorials that you can watch, but in a short I can explain is from 0. So we are in decimal number system, we have digits called 0 to 9, and from 10 to 15 to actually know denote, there is a notation used called A to F. So A becomes 10, B becomes 11, C becomes 12, D becomes 13, E becomes 14, and F becomes 15. So if you can see closely, there is not a single letter which is beyond F. So this is 40 characters hexadecimal key. So Mohit, who decides this size of key should be a 40 characters? Who decide this character size? This size or specifically this long key is decided by which version of, rather which hashing algorithm you are using. So there are different hashing algorithms very much popular in earlier days or even in some cases now is MD5 and SHA1, which is secure hashing algorithm. So Git is using SHA-1. So SHA-1 is 160 bit, 160 bit. To represent a single character in hexadecimal, we need 4 bits to represent one character, hexadecimal character. Why? Because 0 to 15 is 0, 0, 0, 0, and this is 1, 1, 1, 1 in binary, right? So 0 to 15, we need 4 bits of information. So 160 divided by 4 is give you 40 hexadecimal characters. So if you are using SHA 512, then the size or of that key would be 512 bits. Okay, so this is how Git has given us the key. My important question is still remains: where is my hello world? Right? If you finding this very hard to understand, let's do a simple analogy so that people, specifically candidates or students who are from doing journey from non-technical programming background to IT or DevOps world, look at this command in a way that, let's say you are going into the bank, right? And in the bank, you sometimes you need to do FD or purchase some kind of insurance to get the locker, right? So in that locker, generally you put your important or valuable information. Maybe it's a will paper, property papers, gold, silver, cash, right? So that's what you put in a safe locker, right? And so look this hello world as from that valuable information perspective. And when you put this valuable information in Git's bank, you are going to get the key. So anytime you need to access that information, you would require a key, right? So similarly, when you open the locker in the bank account, you get a key from the banker, and then with that key, you can access your locker. Okay, so let's try to access this locker using this key, and then we will take a pause for today. That's why we cover very much ground fundamentals of understanding how Git is storing your content. So for that, one command is to store your content in the locker. There would be some kind of other command to get key and retrieve your value. In Unix or Linux based operating system, concatenate short form cat is a command generally print the file or content of the files. Generally, it actually concatenates, but we use to print out the contents of the file, right? Similarly, Git has another type of plumbing command called git cat file. I need to pass a P option. P means pretty print. I want you to print out this hello world. Why? Because I am I am very much interested in understanding whether Git is able to store my hello world or not. Yes. So I'm giving this key to Git bank and give me the my important information, my gold, my silver, which is hello world at the moment. Let's see what happens. And that's where we get with an error. Yes. So we actually was interested in getting my gold and silver back, but unfortunately we are getting an error. So normally when generally any Git tutorial starts, we have and this is not for Git, for any tool, we have uh, a ways of working, right? So what are the ways of working? Generally, they are a sequence of steps that you have to follow. So in case if you are learning Git, you basically start with Git init. Okay, you do first Git init to initialize the repository. Then you add files. To after adding files, you do Git add. Yes. and then you commit those files. Yes, that's how you follow. What is this? Is basically a ways of working or syntax or rule book that what you should do when you are working with Git. Important thing is we need to ask why I need to go with the same kind of rule book. Why should I go that, right? No, this is what rule book is, and we have to follow. Yes, in most of the stages it works, right? But if I give you an analogy of construction site, yes, so you are basically having a look at massive building or very tall building. You get a lot of workers, and they are actually following some kind of basics that is said by the civil engineer there. But if you ask those workers why you are using such kind of material, maybe it can be cement, steel, or iron, right? He or she would not have that much background because he is just super focused on completing the task. However, engineers are not just there to completing the task; they are there to take a rational decision. So that civil engineer has a responsibility and accountability that what kind of how much amount of cement I should mix in the soil, how much amount of water it should get, so that how much depth I should go uh, below the surface of the earth, so that I will get a strong foundations of my tall building. Yes, so such kind of decision has to take based on some kind of rationals, some kind of understanding. Similarly, the same approach we need to look at here, right? Why we are getting this error, or why do we need to follow these rule books? And for that, we need to understand the reason behind getting it. Okay. So far, we always start working with the tool by following some documentation. But let's have a journey of engineering mindset, understand why do need I need to do Git init at the first place. Okay. So this is a this error is telling me something. What this error is telling me, fatal, not a Git repository or any of the parent directories .git. So basically, Git is complaining that this is not a Git repository, or in this, or any parent of this folder. So parent means when you do cd dot dot, you go to the parent directory. Yes. So any parent directories in this folder chain, there is .git folder is not available. That is, but why Git requires this directory or this folder is because, let's go back to our previous context. That is the context of this diagram. So here we have persistence layer. Now persistence are of two types. One is in memory, which is in your RAM, and the other is in non-volatile memory, which is in your hard disk or SSD or in the form of database, right? So file based. So this in-memory persistence. So for example, if you have at all some background of programming, if you have created some class called employee, yes, employee class, and then you do obj, you create object, and you create a new object, right? This new object. So basically, what is happening? You are creating this object in RAM. Basically, the life cycle or the scope of this object would be there, and until and unless either you release this object with null, or when your program terminates, the entire memory allocated to program will be claimed by operating system. So if your program gets terminated, or you close out your program, in that case, any memory allocated by that program will be reclaimed. Similarly, Git is nothing but, yes, Git is nothing but the program itself, right? So the way we are dealing with the Git right now is in memory persistence. So what Git is asking, that if you want to have your hello world object to be stored and retrieve, in that case you have to store that object in hard disk and not in memory. Why? Because when you fire a git command, git executes that command and get out of the memory, and whatever you've done with that command, all that memory area gets reclaimed by an operating system. So first I need to do writing operation in git. Okay, so let's writing operation, which is, let me clear this first. Hello world, I need to tell git, not in memory, I want you to write this hello world in hard disk so that I would be able to retrieve it later. This W flag tells to write into the hard disk location. Again I receive same error. This time still this error is same, right? There is not a git repository in any of the parent directories of this folder, which is, so basically git is looking for .git folder. Now question should be, why git is looking for .git folder? We will come to that part later, but right now we need to ensure that to write in hard disk, basically to write in persistence layer, git is requesting you that it needs some kind of .git folder, which it is called as repository. So why do you do git init? This is the reason that you want git to store your important files in hard disk. Remember, when I have done hello world without -w, git provided me key back. Okay, so I can still work with git, interact with git as a program. But if I want, git has git should take responsibility of my files, of my code base, then git says I would take responsibility, but for that you need to have this .git folder in that directory, and the responsibility of git init command is to create that folder. Why? So today we are not just looked at the persistence, we have also understood why we need to do git init. Okay, so this is the reason. Let's do git init, and now you look at the message. So this message is initialize empty git repository and look at the path .git folder. And now if I, let's do again cat file first, because I would like to show you some different error now. Now it is not complaining about the repository, but now it is complaining about not a valid object name, right? So basically we haven't yet executed the writing command, and that's the reason it's saying अगर आपने write ही नहीं किया है तो आपको वो मिलेगा नहीं. Yes, basically if you didn't write it, you would not able to retrieve it. So first write it in a hard disk. Clear. Let's write in a hard disk using -w flag. Okay, so I have written it, and now I even didn't get any error of. And let's see whether Git has able to get a bank of Git, a bank known as Git, can give me back my content. So this is how Git is storing your content. I think that's it for today's session. I'm happy to have some questions now. Let me know if you can have any questions for today's session. I really have enjoyed giving you the foundational concepts of Git storage, Git persistence. If you are at all interested, please feel free to connect me over LinkedIn, and you can have also attend my 25 plus hours Git session. So let me share you my LinkedIn account. If you would at all would like to understand Git in detail, all the layers of Git, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.
हेलो सर.
How was it, Kunal?
सर अच्छा है. एंड अभी और भी बच्चे आएंगे यहाँ से पढ़ेंगे. तो सर हम थर्ड सेशन अब कब करने वाले हैं, क्या आप कुछ बता सकते हैं?
So for sure we'll see. I will certainly check timetable. But I
ओके.
hope you have enjoyed today's free session.
ओके.
Yeah. So any queries, any questions on today's session, I'm happy to take. Let's have 5 to 10 minutes of question and answer session. No question is a dumb question. So feel free to ask. Rather, if you are not able to do this session live, I would encourage all of you to install Git Bash and try these commands yourself and see how Git is actually storing your contents. So, having engineering mindset would certainly help you to take a rational and informed decision. That's what we are going to derive out of this session.
अभी तो यहाँ बच्चों के कुछ क्वेश्चंस दिख नहीं रहे हैं.
Sure, no worries.
हाँ.
Then maybe we can wrap it up for today, and we'll certainly connect. Please feel free to connect on LinkedIn. Happy to
ओके.
see you as being connections there. Okay. Thank you
ओके.
all. Thank you once again for your time. See ya.
ओके.
Happy weekend.
थैंक यू सर.
Bye.
बाय.
Thank you very much. Bye. Bye.
बाय.